Hello and welcome back to another video. Today I'm reacting to this video by Slurpee, so thank you for doing this. So, I'm just gonna turn my mic down a bit. But yeah, so thank you if you see this video, Slurpee. Let's get into the video.
What if I told you that one of Roblox's newest hit games isn't actually about saving animals? It's about hiding what happened to them. At first, Animal Hospital looks completely harmless. You clock in as an intern, check in patients, deal with the occasional weird creature, and try to survive another shift. Honestly, it seems like another one of those Roblox games where you grind for money, unlock upgrades, and eventually become the best employee in the building. I mean, that's exactly what I thought until I stopped playing and started paying attention. Because hidden throughout this hospital are dozens of little details that almost nobody notices. Patients mysteriously disappear. Security footage keeps going missing. Doctors refuse to answer even the most basic questions. Entire sections of the hospital are locked off from the employees. And somehow, everyone acts like that's just completely normal. At first I thought this was just a creepy horror game building. I mean, you know, every horror game has secret rooms, a creepy basement, some mysterious scientists, you know, just the usual stuff, right? Yep. But the deeper I dug into Animal Hospital, the more one question kept coming back to me. Why does this hospital feel less like a place that heals patients and more like a place that's hiding them? Because after looking through every piece of dialogue, every hidden note, every character, and every secret ending, I started noticing something that actually caught me off guard. The story this game is telling everyone has some disturbingly similar themes to one of history's darkest medical facilities. Now listen, I'm not saying that's what the game developers intended. There's no...
Really, Slurpee? That's real, is it? Like...
confirmation of that at all. So you might be thinking I'm probably just out of my mind, right? Well, no. Because by the end of this video...
No, you're not out of your mind. I believe you already. I'm a psychopath. Blah blah blah.
I think you'll understand why so many of these similarities are impossible to ignore. So, let's check it out. We're going to be starting with your first day on the job. You see, the funny thing about Animal Hospital is that it doesn't immediately try to scare you. In fact, it's actually almost the opposite. I mean, obviously you're going into Animal Hospital knowing it is a scary game, but the lobby itself is pretty clean. The music is honestly super cheerful. The colors are bright. There's cute little animals walking around everywhere. And if you showed someone a screenshot without context that it's a horror game, they'd probably assume that this was a game that's made for kids. I mean, that's honestly what I thought too when I first saw this game. And just thinking a little bit more about that, that's kind of genius. Because horror itself works best when it slowly earns your trust, before entirely taking it away. But anyways, let's get back to the first day. After I loaded in, I naturally did what every player does, and I walked straight over to the front desk. The doctor introduces you, explains you're the new intern, shows you how to check in patients, and shows you how to identify anomalies. It's pretty standard tutorial stuff, to be honest, and it's nothing suspicious, nothing creepy, and nothing that...
Okay guys, so I suck at Animal Hospital, but I did better than Eli over there.
Immediately screams, hey, there's a conspiracy happening underneath this building. But here's something I almost missed. The tutorial never actually explains why anomalies exist. You're just told to remove them. No explanation, no history, no this happened because. It's almost like the game expects you to accept them as normal. I mean, if you think about it, when you first heard about this Animal Hospital game, you're obviously clicking play and going into the game knowing that you're going to have to find and stop anomalies. The game is literally expecting you to just treat this like it's completely normal. Now at first I didn't think anything of it, but after thinking about it a little bit more, I got curious. Because whenever a game refuses to explain something so obvious, it's usually hiding the answer somewhere else. So instead of following the tutorial like every other person did, I started talking to everyone. And this is where I figured out that the NPCs actually know more than the doctors. Now most Roblox games have NPCs
NPCs that say things like welcome and have fun, or even good luck, but Animal Hospital doesn't. Instead, the very first animals you meet immediately start talking about things that they probably shouldn't. One of them says, the doctors refuse to speak. And this one immediately caught my attention, because what do you mean they refuse to speak? These guys are literally doctors. That's a doctor's job. A doctor's job is to speak and to tell you what's wrong with you, of course. I mean, we've all been to the doctor, right? Like, patients
Yes,
ask
I've been to the
questions.
doctor. I have been to the doctor, guys.
Doctors answer them. That's how hospitals
Doctor lady, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, but you look ugly.
work, unless there are questions you don't want people asking. So after talking to that NPC, I was getting very sussed out. So I decided to go to another NPC, and they said something even stranger. Another containment breach in Ward C. Now, hold on. At first you're probably like, okay, what the heck is this guy talking about? But just think about it for a second. What do you mean containment breach? And that's not normal hospital language.
What the fuck is a containment breach? It's a game. I typed fucking beach. Failure, security, or physical controls that allow dangerous entity data or media to escape. Okay. If he explains it, though, then that's just me being an idiot, isn't it?
Language. I mean, if you talk about an isolation room, I mean, sure. Or even quarantine. Absolutely, that's hospital language. But containment breach? That's something you'd expect to hear in some sort of secret laboratory, not an animal hospital. And on top of that, that NPC said another. So that means this has happened before. This isn't just something that's randomly happened. We're talking about it.
Well, what does the NPC mean? Because I don't know what it means. If anyone knows what it means, what does it mean? You better explain it or I will crash out.
Casually, that always happens. But before I could even process that little bit of dialogue, another NPC casually mentions that multiple patients disappeared from their rooms. Disappeared,
What the fuck?
by the way. Not transferred, not discharged, not sent home, not even healthy. They just simply said they're gone. Think about how insane that actually is for a second. Imagine you literally get let into a hospital in real life, and then someone walks up to you while you think you're about to get the best care of your life, while you think you're about to get healed from whatever sickness you have, whatever broken bone you have. Someone decides to just walk up to you and casually says, 3 patients disappeared last week, so, what would you do? Huh? I mean, obviously you would leave immediately. I would, of course, that's weird. But in Animal Hospital, instead of people leaving immediately, everyone inside that Animal Hospital keeps working like nothing happened. Nobody's panicking. Nobody's calling the police. Animal Hospital keeps working like nothing happened. Nobody leaving immediately. Everyone inside that Animal Hospital keeps working like nothing happened.
Is that Jax? It kinda looks like Jax, to be honest. The stalker looks like Jax, trust.
Nobody's panicking. Nobody's calling the police. Nobody's demanding answers. It's almost like they've seen this before. It's almost like patients have gone missing before. And the fact that they've seen this before is very creepy. But here's where it takes another turn. Because right about now, I hear a line that completely changed how I looked at this game. You see, one of the animals ends up quietly saying that the doctors won't talk about what's in the basement. Now listen,
What
I will
the
be
fuck?
completely honest with you.
What is in the basement? Chat. Oh my god. Alex, if you ever watch this, I bet you'd be shitting your pants, bro.
Won't talk about what's in the basement. Now listen, I will be completely honest with you. Every horror game
Wait, hold on. Where is the basement in the hospital, bro? They're like,
has a basement. A creepy basement. Think about Mother's Care. That Roblox game that's very popular, that has a creepy basement. And if we're not even talking about Roblox games,
never played Mother's Care. Should I do a video on that?
fathom. I just played that game, the Scratch Creek one, with my friend Kay. Yeah, that also has a creepy basement. And there are thousands of other horror games that literally have creepy basements. It's honestly mandatory at this point for a horror game to have a creepy basement. So honestly, at first, I laughed at this line. I mean, of course there's a basement. Of course nobody's allowed down there. But then I noticed something. This basement isn't just mentioned once. It's mentioned over and over and over and over again. Different characters hint at things they're not supposed to know. And nobody actually explains what's down there. And that's what makes it interesting. If this basement was just a casual basement, even if it was empty, why?
Someone messaged me. I'm gonna find my phone real quick, chat. Hold on. Oh fuck, where is it? Eli, where's my phone at? Where'd that sound come? Where'd the sound of it come from? Holy shit. Sorry. Might be a timestamp or something so that you guys can. Seriously, how the fuck did my phone get up? Oh shit. Oh my god. Eli, can you like message my phone so I can listen out for it again? Yeah. I don't even know where my phone was. It was there, wasn't it? I don't know. Could you just lift up the mattress? I did. Take the Chromebook off. Sorry, chat. Oh, there it is.
That's where it gets even worse, because this game isn't just hiding the basement from you, the player. You're not the only one left in the dark about this thing. This game is hiding the basement from every single character inside the hospital. It's almost like whatever's down there explains everything that's going on.
Is that Abra and Mewtwo? Eli, that's Mewtwo. It looks like Mewtwo, right? That is a fucking science experiment, gang, I'm telling you. I'm telling you, it's a human Mewtwo! Or an animal Mewtwo. Sorry, chat. Sorry, chat. Sorry. Sorry. Oh shit, sorry. Alright, back into the video.
But something doesn't add up, because at this point, I wasn't scared. I actually wasn't scared at all. I was just confused, because none of this matched the game I thought I was playing. I thought this was a Roblox hospital simulator, where, you know, we find anomalies, and we cure them, and we stop them.
Yeah, did he just say anomalies?
Simulator where, you know, we find anomalies and we stop the anomalies and, you know, just what everybody thought Animal Hospital was. But instead, I've got disappearing patients, containment breaches, doctors who are silent, and won't say a thing, and a basement that everyone's terrified to talk about. So I asked myself a simple question. What kind of hospital needs containment procedures? But obviously the answer would be one treating very dangerous diseases. Then another question popped into my head. If they're treating dangerous diseases at this animal hospital, why are patients disappearing instead of recovering? We all know this. Hospitals exist to make people healthy after being
That's AI. I'm sorry, but that is just AI.
sick.
Well, it's not
lose them,
real.
not make people disappear. Unless losing them was never an accident. Now that might sound ridiculous. I mean,
It does not sound
Might
ridiculous.
sound very ridiculous. But trust me, we're just getting started. You see, after talking to the
Run Windows, Linux, and more on your Mac with unmatched performance.
the animals in the lobby, I figured maybe they were just paranoid. Maybe they were overreacting. Maybe this whole hospital was actually normal, and these NPCs were only there to make the atmosphere creepier. But then I met Ron. Now, if there's one character I expected to be boring, it was the accountant. I mean, come on, Ron from accounting. It's accounting. How interesting could this guy possibly be, right?
Very.
But apparently, he's a lot more interesting than the actual doctors. The first thing Ron says seems innocent enough. I mean, he jokes around, he acts friendly, he's almost like every other NPC. But after talking to him a few more times, he starts slipping. He starts saying little comments and small hints. It's almost like he's trying to tell you something without actually saying it. And at one point, he asks, "You ever wonder why they keep hiring new people?" And then he immediately changes the subject. And that one line completely caught me off guard. Because why would an accountant even think about that? Hiring isn't an accountant's job. It especially isn't Ron's job, right? Unless he keeps seeing employees disappear. Or maybe not just disappear, maybe they're quitting. Or maybe they're doing something worse. I mean, think about it. You're working in this hospital, and every few weeks, another intern shows up, and another employee leaves. Nobody talks about why, nobody asks questions, and eventually, you stop asking too. That sounds less like a workplace, and more like a revolving door. And then, Ron starts talking about paperwork. Now, normally paperwork is the least exciting thing imaginable. I mean, think about homework that you get, not exactly sure.
You know. Is this paperwork boring? Is this paperwork boring?
Approved! Half birthday approved! I don't know. Excellent argument. Approved! No time to read the list. Approved! Next! Approved! Look at you. You who were once so proud. Go now and never return. It's now illegal. It's illegal. What's the worst that could happen? See? No consequences. I'll grow up, Sonic.
See? Is that paperwork boring, buddy? Is it sloppy? Is it?
Sure, if homework is still on paper, but back in the day when I was getting homework, it was a whole stack of paper, and just paperwork is boring. But here's the thing, paperwork in horror stories is everything. Because paperwork tells you what people don't want you to.
Yeah, guys, Sonic the Hedgehog is totally a horror story.
Ron mentions discharge logs, hospital records, old files, and then he even says something that immediately raised a red flag. They moved the old files last month. Now the only explanation to that would be a routine cleanup from the employees, except Ron doesn't believe it. And honestly, neither do I. Hospitals don't randomly move years of medical records without a reason. Those records are incredibly important, unless someone wants to make sure nobody could ever read them again. And now suddenly, the disappearing patients make even less sense. Because if patients are disappearing, and records are disappearing, who exactly is keeping track of what happens inside this hospital? And this is where we get to the word that changes everything. everything. You see, up until this point, you could argue that this was all just a coincidence. But then Ron says one sentence that completely changes the investigation. They're testing something here. Now, did you get that word? Testing. Not treating, testing. That is a massive difference, because hospitals exist to treat patients. Laboratories exist to test things. So why is somebody using laboratory language
I told you, it's Mewtwo!
inside a hospital? Then he continues, the patients, they're not sick. They're infected. And that line bothered me for a long time, because infected doesn't necessarily mean dying. It means something happened to them. Something spread to them. Something changed to them. And suddenly, these anomalies wandering around the hospital started looking a little different. What even is an anomaly? Seriously, think about it. The game tells you anomalies are dangerous, but it spends almost no time explaining where they actually came from. That's a pretty huge detail to leave out. I mean, imagine a zombie movie that never explains how the virus happened. Or a vampire movie that never tells you how vampires exist. Normally, the origin is one of the biggest parts of the story. An Animal Hospital skips it completely. It's almost like you're not supposed to act.
Right.
The hardest thing is to get started. You have to get it on paper.
And this next part is where I met Barney. Now, if you've played Animal Hospital, Barney is weird.
He wants coffee.
Really weird. I mean, the first time he walks in, he doesn't attack anyone. He doesn't scream. He doesn't even seem dangerous. Instead, he asks for coffee. That's it. Coffee. And at first, I laughed. I mean, out of everything happening in this hospital, this guy's biggest concern is caffeine. But then he keeps coming back again and again and again. And eventually, I stopped asking, why does Barney want coffee? And started asking, what does coffee actually do? Because in this game, coffee isn't just coffee. It restores your sanity. That's a really strange mechanic, to be honest. The lower your sanity gets, the stranger the hospital becomes. You begin seeing things, hearing things. Reality itself starts feeling off. So why does Barney constantly want more coffee? Maybe because he already knows what happens when someone sees too much. And this is where we get to the suitcase. Because eventually Barney hands you a suitcase with one instruction: don't open it. And naturally that immediately made me want to open it. I mean, the game even tells you it's unusually heavy. And now I really want to open it. But the game never actually explains what's inside. Anyways, later on, Barney comes back asking for something very specific: a scalpel. Not medicine, not bandages, a scalpel. So you hand it to him, he thanks you, and he picks up the suitcase and quietly leaves. And then the game never follows up on that. There's no explanation.
First of all, what the fuck? Second of all, why do you need a scalpel? Third of all, what the fuck?
There's nothing, actually. You're expected to move on. But after everything we've already learned, it's hard not to wonder. Someone asks for surgical tools while carrying a heavy suitcase. That's not exactly comforting. But then everything changes. The police suddenly enter the hospital. They're looking for Barney. And that's when we learn he isn't just another patient. He's a wanted serial killer. So immediately I'm thinking, okay, finally, somebody's actually going to stop this guy. But then Barney appears behind you, knife in hand, and quietly says, if you say a word, I'll kill you. And this is where I expected the game to reward the obvious choice. Turn him in, help the
Holy shit.
police do the right thing, except that's not what happens. If you help Barney, he rewards you, and if you report him, almost nothing changes. That completely flipped my perspective, because the game isn't rewarding morality, it's rewarding loyalty. But loyalty to who? That's the real question, because Barney keeps coming back to this hospital. Nobody permanently stops him. Nobody seems shocked to see him. It's almost like he belongs here. And if Barney belongs here, what kind of hospital have we actually walked into? By now, it's pretty obvious that this hospital is hiding something, but the question is, who is responsible? At first, I honestly thought maybe the doctors didn't know. Maybe they were just employees following orders. Maybe there was some corporation pulling the strings behind the scenes. But then I started paying closer attention to Dr. Harlow. On your first day, he comes across exactly how you'd expect. Friendly, professional, calm. He's the one teaching you how everything works. In fact, if this were any other game, you'd probably trust him immediately. But the more I played, the less that trust made sense. Because while everyone else is running around dealing with patients, Dr. Harlow almost always seems to be watching. Not helping, watching. One of the NPCs tells you, look around. So, I did, and at first, I saw nothing. But then I looked toward one of the upstairs windows, and there he was, just standing there, looking directly at you. He's not talking to patients, he's not helping employees, he's simply observing. Almost like he's making sure everything goes according to plan. And at first I thought this was just a creepy Easter egg, but then I remembered something. Scientists observe experiments, and doctors treat patients. That's a very important difference. And if he's a doctor, why does he look like an anomaly? Because later in the game, Dr. Harlow's appearance starts changing. His eyes aren't normal anymore. His expressions become unsettling. In some artwork, he's even shown holding surgical tools over innocent-looking animals. Now, obviously, that doesn't automatically make him evil. Lots of horror games actually have creepy character art. But then I found Rathu. Out of every character in Animal Hospital, Rathu might actually know the most. At first, he seems just like a funny little rat. You know, comedic relief, someone to lighten the mood, but then he starts talking. And almost everything he says points toward one thing: secrets. He explains that because he's small, people don't notice him. He hears conversation.
I'm worried about my
Bro, what the fuck is up with these
I
ads?
recommend Colgate Total. Colgate's best active prevention system is 15 times more effective at fighting a key root cause of many oral care issues.
I don't give a
oral care
fuck.
issues before they start.
We need to localize the summer campaign by yesterday.
He sees things. He goes places nobody expects. He's basically the hospital's unofficial spy. But then he gives you probably the biggest warning in the entire game. Don't trust anyone here. Not don't trust Barney. Not don't trust the anomalies. Don't trust anyone. And that includes the doctors. Now, if you thought it couldn't get even worse, Rathu then tells you about his twin sister, Bettina. She worked for the corporation, but one day, she disappeared. No explanation, no goodbye, nothing. Now, remember, patients aren't the only ones disappearing. Employees disappear too, and that's a huge detail. Because if people working inside the corporation are suddenly vanishing, that suggests whatever's happening isn't just affecting patients. It's affecting everyone who learns too much. It's almost like once you know the truth, you become part of the cover-up. Now, before leaving, Rathu gives you a key. And at first, it doesn't seem very important until you discover
There's a safe, guys, there's a safe behind the freaking poster.
unlocks. Because hidden beside one of the hospital's motivational posters is a secret safe. I mean, already that's incredibly suspicious. Like, why hide a safe behind a motivational poster if there's, you know, nothing to hide? Or why even hide it at all? But anyways, inside, you find three things: a photograph of Bettina, Dr. Harlow's suitcase, and a note with one sentence: the experiment was a success. And that changes everything. Because up until now, experiments were just a theory. NPCs hinted at them, Ron mentioned them, but this is the first piece of evidence directly connecting the hospital to an experiment. Not a treatment, not a recovery, an experiment. The question becomes, what exactly was successful? And
Rat shit.
this is where things start getting really interesting. Because while researching secret medical facilities throughout history, I kept coming back to one name: Unit 731. Now, before we go any further, I want to make something very clear. There is no evidence that Animal Hospital is officially based on Unit 731. The developers have never confirmed that. This is simply a theory based on similarities between the game's story and real historical events. But with that said, those similarities are honestly hard to ignore. For anyone who hasn't heard of Unit 731, it was a secret Japanese military research program that operated during World War II. And on the surface, it actually appeared to be an ordinary medical research facility, similar to how Animal Hospital is on the surface, with doctors, scientists, medical staff, and honestly, from the outside, it just looked legitimate. But behind closed doors, the facility secretly carried out biological research and human experimentation. Much of what happened there remained hidden for years. Records were destroyed, evidence disappeared, and many details only became widely known after the war through historical investigations and testimony. Now, compare that to Animal Hospital, a medical facility hiding experiments, restricted sections employees don't talk about, missing records, deleted evidence, patients disappear. It's almost like the hospital's real purpose isn't healing, It's hiding. And then I realized something that made me rethink the entire game. Throughout this whole investigation, I've actually been talking about the doctors, as you can tell. I was also talking about the corporation, Dr. Harlow, Barney, Ron, Rathu, but I completely ignored the most important character, us. I mean, think about what we actually do every shift. We never question the disappearances. We never report the missing records. We never investigate the basement. Instead, we simply keep doing our job. We process patients, we remove anomalies, we follow instructions, and we trust the people giving us orders. Without realizing it, we become another employee helping the hospital continue operating. And maybe that's the entire point of the story. Not that the player is evil, but that people can become part of something much bigger, simply by never asking any questions. So here's where I landed after putting everything together. I don't think Animal Hospital is really about curing animals. I think it's about preserving the illusion that animals are being cured. And behind that illusion, experiments appear to be taking place. The anomalies may not be invading the hospital, they may actually be a result of whatever those experiments are. And whether the developers intended this story to resemble historical events like Unit 731, or whether the similarities are purely coincidental, I honestly can't say. But I do think the comparisons are interesting enough to ask questions, because that's ultimately what this video was. Not proving a conspiracy, not claiming hidden developer intentions, just following the evidence that the game gives us, and seeing where it leads. And for me, it led to one conclusion. The real horror of Animal Hospital was never the anomalies. It was the people running the hospital. But that's just my theory, and maybe there's something I missed, maybe there's another hidden ending, another piece of dialogue, or another secret that completely changes everything. And if there is, let me know down below in the comments, because this game is still getting updates, which means there's probably a lot more hidden beneath this hospital than we've seen.
Alright. And now we're watching this one as well.
I just built a budgeting app with Base 44.
Interesting. Can it generate reports?
It can now.
You probably think you know the worst ways someone could die, but trust me, you don't. Because
Really?
today we're looking at people who died in ways so horrifying, so bizarre, and so unexpected that they sound completely made up. But every story you're about to hear in this video actually happened. So let's take a look at our first one, which is the Nutty Putty Cave incident. Now, if you don't know what the Nutty Putty Cave incident is,
I'm sorry, I know this is like a dark video, but Jesus, Nutty Putty, like, what the fuck?
it happened back in 2009, which was pretty recent, and the victim was 26-year-old medical student John Edward Jones.
Okay.
Now, John Jones entered Utah's Nutty Putty Cave, and while exploring, he accidentally crawled into an unmapped, extremely narrow passage, believing it led somewhere else. But instead of it leading somewhere else, he became wedged, completely upside down, in a passage barely wider than his body. He was stuck in there for so long that this is definitely one of the worst ways somebody could die. But let's take a look at this video to get some more information.
John Edward Jones suffered the worst death imaginable after going caving with his brother just days before Thanksgiving. Seasoned cavers John and Josh plunged deep into a complex Utah cave system known as Nutty Putty. But what the 26-year-old didn't know is that he was crawling to his death. The pair took a wrong turn, which is when John became stuck upside down with no way out. After 27 hours and many rescue attempts, John was declared dead, and the cave became his tomb, where his body still remains.
That's insane, and if you didn't see in that YouTube short how he was wedged upside down, well, this is how. And he was like that for about 27 hours, and rescuers tried everything they could to free him. But the cave was simply too tight, as you saw in that video. And this Nutty Putty Cave incident makes it one of the worst ways people could have died, because John Jones was trapped head first, which means the pressure on his body slowly caused his organs to fail, and he tragically died before rescuers could pull him out. And like that video said, his body was never recovered, and it is still in the Nutty Putty Cave today. And if you thought that sounded bad, it gets worse, because his heart
If I go to Utah, should I find it?
had to fight gravity every second just to circulate blood to the rest of his body, putting it under enormous strain. And putting your heart under strain is not good for your body, because if less blood is circulating to places like your lungs and your heart is being strained, that means you're going to get less oxygen. And with less oxygen reaching his organs, his kidneys, his liver, and other vital systems, they all likely began to fail one by one. And after more than 27 hours trapped inside the cave, his body could no longer keep up, and he suffered a fatal cardiac arrest before rescuers could pull him free, making this one of the worst ways people have died. And as scary as the Nutty Putty Cave is, it's not nearly as disturbing as some of the punishments that were used in medieval executions many, many years ago. And apparently this next short will discuss that.
The worst ways to die in history. Episode 6. The breaking wheel. Practiced primarily in Europe, the wheel has been used to hurt people since ancient times all the way up to the 19th century. Reserved for those convicted of serious crimes, you were really not in for a good time if you were sentenced to being broken on the wheel. The victim would be taken to the top of some publicly erected scaffolding and tied fast to the floor, their bodies slightly raised from the ground, with wooden blocks positioned directly under their joints. A wooden wheel would then be repeatedly dropped on the limbs of the street prisoners. What?
Alright, I think I'll end the video there, guys. As usual, though, we have to play one round of this. Fuck. Oh shit. Like and subscribe. That'll be the video. See you guys in the